Hello. First and foremost, thank you so much for investing in this package. I've spent a long time putting this together in the hope it could benefit the way people move. There's a lot of different activities or styles of exercise you can do out there. CrossFit, yoga, martial arts, just gym training. You might be a runner, you might be a surfer. It's endless. Pilates. All these styles or ways of moving are awesome. But before you decided to start to learn activities and different exercises, there were movements that you learned when you were a baby. This practice is to help you understand those movements and start to become efficient in those areas of everyday movement. A lot of us have had injuries, or we have overused something like a mouse or our thumbs when we text. Maybe we drive a lot with one arm up. All these habitual patterns create tension in the body, and the body is so adaptable, it will just mold itself to keep doing that. It will make this comfortable, even if the body has to be in balance to be there. So this practice is not about getting stronger, but it's really about coming back to your natural way of moving. It's more about stability rather than strength. Whether you're super mobile and flexible, stability is needed. Maybe for you, you've got areas of tension in your body and you need to create more length and stability in your body so this area of tension can really relax and soften out. This is a very playful practice. There's no right or wrong as long as you get the foundations and the understandings of the practice right. There are 4 phases and one complete practice which the 4 phases will enter to bring it all together. I've separated each section into areas of work or development. For instance, when you were first born, the only thing you could do was lie down. Eventually, you started to get enough strength in your diaphragm, in your breathing, to lift your head. And then you started to play with your limbs, not really understanding what to do with them. Over time, you start to develop learning ipsilateral, one-sided, and then contralateral. Okay, opposite sides working together. Before these two, there was a more simple one, sagittal, which is just the simple, straightforward movements, flexion and extension. From this position, you then learned to roll over into a prone position. And then eventually, you started to learn how to come up all fours and then start to crawl. From your crawling position, you started to step up. And then when you were a kid, you got to the point where you went to squat and you found your way up to standing. And then you fell many times trying to learn this movement. This practice is beautiful, and you must first personally study the phases first visually, just by watching it, noticing the subtleties of how I'm doing these movements, and then practice and practice and practice. As you start to practice, the way you move will be revealed to you, and then it's up to you to shrink the poor habitual patterns, all right? And that way you can move more efficiently, more easily, and it's going to bring better quality to your life. When I first started my yoga journey 10 years ago, people said, always take your practice with you off the mat. And I could understand that through meditation and pranayama, through breathing, but I never understood how I can take these weird postures, warrior one, warrior two, into my everyday life. I actually never use those postures. This practice you will start to notice come into your everyday life. For instance, you might be sitting on the ground, just talking to your friend, casually. Now, how do you set up this shape? This looks kind of normal, doesn't it? But ultimately, I'm creating a lot of tension in my shoulder, and I'm collapsing a lot here into my rib wall. Now, if I always sit like this and have a talk with a friend for, say, 10 minutes a day, this is how my body's going to start to organize itself to stay in this position. When really, I should be more here. I should be more stable through the breathing, which we'll learn, keeping more space through these areas, the joints of the body, by learning to press correctly into the ground and just set up the positioning a little more accurate. I really want you to enjoy this. I'm going to explain a little more in detail before you begin each phase, what to really look out for. Personally, this has been my path to freedom, and I hope it serves you well. Remember, it's very subtle, very, very subtle. So make sure you move as slow as you can. And if you practice moving slow after a few weeks, move even slower. Begin to move slower so you can really see all the funky things you do. Then you shrink them and get rid of them. All right? All right, from the bottom of my heart, again, I thank you for this investment. If there's anything I can do or you'd like to work further with me, feel free to contact me through my social media. Namaste. Love to you. Love to all beings. This is the most important part of the practice. It seems the most simple, but it is just the most subtle thing you must find before advancing into any more technical movements. So practice this on a daily, use this as a reset whenever. Feet are square hips distance. Make sure the pelvis is square. Make sure your shoulder blades are softened and the front of the ribs are settled down. Now just notice here where you're breathing. Notice here that I'm going to take a breath into my chest. This is not the way to breathe. The way to breathe is not through the chest. Practice breathing down the nostrils into the bottom of your lungs, creating compression in your belly onto the diaphragm muscle. As you breathe out, you'll notice the muscle softens down. I want you to practice this as you breathe in, feeling the core compress, the muscles under your six-pack, the intra-abdominals. Every time you breathe out, you'll notice the muscles soften down. Now notice when I'm breathing into the belly, my chest, my ribs aren't moving anywhere. Energetically, the chest feels like it's moving to the back of the pelvis. It feels like it's drawing down to the base of the spine. As we breathe into the belly, it's helping us find more length through the crown of the head. What really helped me find this is using the hands to keep the front of the ribs down and learning to draw the breath right down into the bottom of the lungs to feel this compression. Now, this is only one part of it. What I also want you to learn is, as you breathe in, you build the compression. I want you to learn to keep it there even as you breathe out. Here you can see I'm breathing in and out whilst maintaining the intra-abdominal pressure. Now you notice that I've released it. As I breathe in, I activate the core. I keep it on even as I breathe out. Breathing in, breathing out, still holding the seed, still holding the core. You don't want to squeeze it like your abs tight. You don't want to blow out your belly like this. It's just gentle. Breathing in, you'll notice the activity. Breathing out. Now obviously this muscle will engage when you're sitting. It's going to engage a lot more when you're about to pick up, say, a couch or a fridge. But ultimately, every movement you do, you want to learn to use this muscle. Alright? This is the muscle that holds everything together, the diaphragm. Good luck with it. This is true freedom if you find this. And you will.